if you study wisdom in the book of Proverbs, for example, and throw into that fool, because the opposite, you're either wise or you're a fool. By the time you study wisdom and foolishness in the book of Proverbs, you're looking at something like 200 occurrences in 31 chapters. You know how many times the word faith occurs in the book of Proverbs? None. What's God telling us here? Now, I don't want to come against the principle of faith, but if God tells us to be wise and tells us that if we're not wise, we'll eat the fruit of our ways, is he going to really undo all that? Just by simply the magic wand of faith, if you will? Christians need to think about wisdom more seriously. And again, this is a very detailed subject, and I don't want to break people's understanding of faith and how important faith is, but wisdom is important too. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge, and to apply knowledge takes discipline. It takes focus and discipline. And what does the Bible say about wisdom? Here's what it says. This is Proverbs chapter 3. For she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. For she is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. Those are the words of God. Nothing you desire can compare with wisdom. That's pretty powerful. And by now you're probably saying to me, okay, John, that was great. Now where's the custom part come in? And the answer is in the phrase, for she is more precious than rubies. Because, now that we've studied the Hebrew language more completely and know it better than they knew it at the Reformation, say when the King James Version was translated, or some of the other versions around that time, the Geneva Bible and such as that. And plus what the discipline of archaeology has shown us, because we've now dug all over the Middle East through thousands of years of history, is they didn't have rubies in Israel in biblical times. They didn't exist. And so, wait a minute, what's this word here? That wisdom is more precious than rubies. And here's a place where, in many cases, the translators have carried on a tradition, i.e. translating this Hebrew word rubies, because when you translate it what it really is, you lose some of the impact. And this kind of thing puts the translators at a disadvantage. It's almost certain that the Hebrew word here translated rubies is coral. And it's a particular red coral that came in many cases, many times from the Red Sea. And it was deeper than they could dive at that time period, so they couldn't just go down there and get it. But you had to wait till there was a storm, and some of it would come up on the seashore. And so it was a very rare stone in the biblical world, and gorgeous red-orange. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the coral color from that part of the world, this absolutely stunning, deep red-orange color. And so very, very highly valued in the biblical world. Unfortunately now, with scuba and corals all over the world, it wouldn't be so highly valued. And this then puts the translator into a bind, because the translator can say, well, wisdom is more profitable, or the wisdom is more precious than coral. And somebody's going, well, that's not very precious. And so what do you do as a translator? Do you translate the Bible literally, that wisdom is more precious than coral, and then expect the reader to learn about coral in the biblical world? Or do you say, okay, all right, wait a minute. No, we get the point here that coral at that time was very precious, so today it's rubies, and we're going to make it rubies. And this becomes really important when you start talking about women, like in Proverbs 31, where it says a wife of noble character who can find, she is worth far more than rubies. And you godly women your worth is inexpressible. And so perhaps to say, well, you're worth more than coral, that might not give the best the best representation of the text. I tend to fall on the literal end of the spectrum. I tend to say, no, translate it as it is in the biblical text and let the educated Christian learn about the culture of the Bible. but other people disagree with me, obviously, and go a different way.
So in the Bible, there's a law called the law of hermeneuticals. One of the hermeneutical principles is the law of precedent. And it says that the first time that something is used tells you the definition. It tells you how it's used the rest of the Scriptures. Hermeneutically speaking, and seminary students will tell you this, you can't change it. It's illegal. You cannot change what God said this is the definition. If God said that the children of Israel are likened unto blossoms in a garden, you cannot say they're rocks. You can't do that. Whatever He says is what it'll always be.